All right, moms and dads and homeschoolers in charge. Here's another story of simple math utilizing action language that will be more meaningful to kids so that they build on things that they know continually throughout their math careers and not on abstract meanings. We'll start off with something that's meaningful for me, and that is diving in the warm waters in the Pacific. In this scenario, divers were looking for sea urchins. They got a call from a Japanese chef at one of the well-known hotels on the island of Maui. They were looking to accumulate a good number of sea urchins so that they might prepare sea urchin soup for some venerated guests coming over from Japan. And so Matt and Julie took off on their very next day off down to the beach on the West Maui coast and made 3 dives looking for sea urchins, plentiful enough to turn into this chef at the Marriott Hotel, if you must know. In dive number 1, they came back with 2 pounds of sea urchins. On dive number 2, they came back with a whopping 5 pounds. Can't tell you how long it takes to accumulate in the bag 5 pounds of a sea urchin. In dive number 3, they were a little less lucky. Maybe fatigue was setting in, and they only found 1 pound of sea urchins. And that takes us to the next part of our problem. How are we going to teach our little ones this simple math problem? It looks like just adding 2 plus 5 plus 1. But we need to use the proper action language while we're doing it. In this case, our action language is simply joined with, as it has been throughout our delving into the simple math with action language. Our number sentence will look like 2 joined with 5 joined with 1. And our math sentence that you'll see in all the textbooks printed in out of California and Texas, we'll get into that another time, is simply 2 plus 5 plus 1. Again, simple math, especially for the bright half of your class or the extremely bright half of your class. The answer is going to be, of course, 8, but in order to give it meanings, it's going to have to be 8 pounds of sea urchins. Beautiful. Well, how might we help the kids that aren't grasping that totally, even with the action language? Hopefully you've been letting them play with the Rorange model, we'll call it, of sea rods, and that means really play with them, build things with them, manipulate them in their hands, to the extent where one day you were able to say, hold the sea rods in both your hands behind your back, and you call out numbers, and they just pull out the sea rod, learning that they have memorized over time. How have they memorized it? Not like you and I come home and study and then take the page away and try and recite what was on the page. They've memorized it by manipulating the sea rods in their own play, putting together, creating little train tracks, and then finding one rod that is equivalent, in our terminology, to the train tracks that they've made, and so on and so forth, just in loose play like that. So they've probably got this whole key that I've written out for you adults memorized if you'll take the simple steps I just talked about for a few days in a row, actually. And what they're going to know right away is that they had, on day 1, 2 pounds of sea urchins, and they're going to build a train, and you can use that terminology, of a 2. And the next day was, I believe, 5 pounds of sea urchins. And they'll add another piece of track to their train tracks that looks like, let's say that. And the last day, they only found 1 sea urchin, and the 1 is just going to look like the little square that the 1 does. Now you're going to ask them, can you find 1 track that will be equivalent or the same as the 3 pieces of the track that you set up? And of course, they're going to be able to whip out right away that the 8 is that piece. I bet it won't even take trial and error, again, if they've had a chance to play with the material. And again, you can reinforce with them that it's not just 8 or 8 what, and they'll come back and say 8 pounds of sea urchins. Now, way to go, homeschooling teachers. This has just given kids lasting equivalence, a concept of what they're building when they're building numbers, and a concept of the real meaning of what the word problem was asking for. Welcome back to Emory Board Productions, and tune in next time when we take a leap of faith and jump to a more complex form of addition rather than what you might be thinking is next on the agenda. Tune in.